My name is Penny Slinger and I'm an artist. I was born in 1947 and from 1966 to 69 I attended Chelsea College of Art. At that time I did my thesis on Max Ernst, the Surrealist artist, particularly focusing on his collage books Un Chemin de Bonté and La Femme sans tête. I was fascinated by the seamless, magical world he managed to create through the technique of collage. He used old engravings, and I felt that the tools that Surrealism offered were really fascinating, great ways to delve into the subconscious as well as the conscious realms. And so I decided for my thesis work not only to do a written piece on him, but also to make a film on Max Ernst. And at the same time, I made my first book of photo collage. It was called 50% The Visible Woman, and this is a copy of it. And by the time I left Chelsea, I completed most of the work on that and offered my own bound copies of the book, hand-bound, as part of my final exposition. And this book was using the tools of Surrealism to probe the feminine psyche. Now, of course, we'd had some Surrealist artists, but I hadn't really seen the tools being used this specifically and dynamically to look at the state of the feminine consciousness, the feminine psyche, the role that the feminine had in the whole world of art. So this book, which, as I say, I made mainly when I was still a student, has what I call full frontal kind of collage techniques. I took my own photographs and I had other people take photographs for me, plus I freely indulged in finding images anywhere that I could and including them as part of my repertoire. So this image, which we have here, was one which formed part of the series. As well as creating the collages, I designed a method of interleaving the text with the image. So this was quite revolutionary at the time, to have actually a transparent overlay. And the overlay was to ensure that you would have a direct association between words and images. I had always been very interested in that and the impact that the collage, another level of collage of the two things happened. So these images have myself featured, and that's been a common factor through a lot of my work. I decided to use myself as my subject matter a lot because I felt the woman had been used as a muse through the history of art, but mainly it was a muse to a male artist. So I thought, well, why not as a woman put myself in two places at once, to be the one that is witnessing and the one that is witnessed at the same time, subject and object, muse and the amused. So this was a theme that I took here, and that's me, for instance, and the caption to that is, "Don't look at me in that tone of voice." So I had a lot of dark humor, irony, double entendre. The first image of the book is Wanted. It's showing me as basically, abandoned, an outlaw, someone who was challenging the status quo and all the sacred cows of society. And I thought that collage was the most perfect way to take pieces of the world and put them together again in a new way to recreate reality. I think any artist worth their salt doesn't want to just record reality, but to recreate it through their own lens, through their own vision. And for me, I felt that it was really time to recreate the world that the feminine occupied, how woman was seen and perceived and how she perceived herself. And I do think that there's no outward political change that comes unless there's inward change. And so this is a lot about the politics of self, but also how the self interacts with the world around them. How she takes that, how I'm seen, and turns it on its head and confronts the viewer rather than being a passive object that is to be viewed, she says, oh no, I'm the subject of this work, and I'm going to challenge all those things that you've held dear about how women is seen. So we have here Circe, for instance, where she has the scissors here at the lower level of her body, suggesting that this new way of the woman coming out into the world was actually something that could be a little bit castrating to male values. Now, I'm not talking about castrating men as such, but of challenging the value system. So I think that this is a good introduction to this work, and I hope that we will be able to go on and together journey through the different stages and evolution of my work. But right now I brought offerings from my first series, 50% The Visible Woman. And that whole idea was based on these anatomy figures that I saw that showed a woman with her skin and then a woman with her skin peeled open and showing what's going underneath. So I wanted to say it's not just the viscera that we're looking at in a physical sense, but the viscera, the guts, the inner workings and dynamics in a much more psychological sense. So this is my offering, and thank you for listening.